There is a specific moment, a number your bank account hits, where your entire relationship with money changes. Not gradually, not slowly over time, overnight. And most people walk right past it without ever knowing it happened. I've been watching this for a long time. And what I've noticed is this: people who understand these 9 milestones build wealth differently. They make different decisions. They feel different things when they check their account. They sleep differently. The ones who miss them, they stay stuck. Not because they're making dramatic mistakes. Because they crossed a line they never knew existed, and kept walking in the wrong direction on the other side of it. Milestone number 5 is the one that gets almost everybody. I'll get to it, but when I do, I need you to already understand what came before it. Because without that context, you won't feel the weight of what it actually means. Stay with me. Hi, my name is Alpha, and in this video, we're going through all 9, in order, with the real stakes of each one laid out clearly. Not as theory, as the moments they actually are. The moments where your financial life either turns or stays exactly the same. Let's go. Here is what most people believe about financial progress. That it's linear, that it's slow and gradual, and that every dollar saved moves you forward at roughly the same pace. That wealth is just the accumulation of enough small good decisions made consistently over time. That's partially true, but it's missing something critical. There are specific thresholds, specific numbers, where something shifts, where the math changes, where the psychology changes, where the options available to you change in ways that cannot be reversed. Most financial content talks about habits, about mindset, about the long game. This video is about the moments inside the long game where everything actually moves. The pressure points, the tipping points, the places where the effort you've been putting in either pays off or quietly costs you more than you realize. 9 of them, in order, and the one most people miss is sitting right in the middle. Milestone 1, your first $1,000 saved. This one sounds small. It is not small. Before this milestone, every financial setback is a crisis. The car breaks down, crisis. The medical bill arrives, crisis. The month goes slightly wrong, crisis. And every crisis sends you backward. Every crisis requires borrowing, or a credit card, or asking someone for help. Every crisis costs you money that then costs you more money in interest and stress and lost momentum. After $1,000, the same events are still stressful, but they are no longer crises. That shift, from crisis to inconvenience, is not just psychological. It is structural. It changes the decisions you make in the worst moments. And the decisions made in worst moments, compounded over years, determine more about your financial life than almost anything else. The first $1,000 is not a savings goal. It's the beginning of financial agency. Get there first, before anything else. Milestone 2, zero consumer debt. This one is a fight. It doesn't feel like a milestone. It feels like a war of attrition. Month after month of paying down something that keeps trying to grow back through interest. But the day you cross zero, the day you owe nothing on credit cards, nothing on personal loans, nothing on the high-interest debt that has been quietly consuming a percentage of every paycheck, something changes that is almost impossible to describe until you've felt it. Every dollar you earn is now fully yours, not partially yours, after the debt takes its share, fully yours. And the psychological weight that lifts when that happens, the background anxiety that had become so familiar you stopped noticing it, becomes noticeable only in its absence. This is also where cash flow changes. The money that was servicing debt is now available for something else, and what you do with it in the first 3 months after reaching zero defines the next 5 years. Milestone 3, 1 month of expenses in savings. 1 month, 30 days of rent, food, utilities, transportation, sitting in a separate account, untouched. This changes how you go to work. Before this milestone, you need your job in a specific, immediate way that affects every interaction with it. You can't afford to push back. You can't afford to take a sick day when you need it. You can't afford to say no to the overtime that is destroying your weekend. Because what's behind you is nothing. The financial pressure makes you smaller at work, in relationships, in every place where money is the silent background force shaping your decisions. 1 month of buffer makes you slightly less afraid, slightly larger, slightly more yourself. It's 1 month, and it changes everything about how you stand in your own life. Milestone 4. 3 to 6 months of expenses fully funded. Now the emergency fund is real. Not a start, not a partial cushion. A genuine, full buffer that can absorb the job loss, the health event, the unexpected catastrophe that comes for everyone eventually, and contain it. Keep it from becoming the thing that derails everything else you've been building. This is also where investing becomes something you can actually afford to do consistently, because before a real emergency fund, every market dip is a potential personal crisis. Every unexpected expense competes with your investments for the same limited money. After the buffer is funded, investing stops being a luxury and becomes the obvious next move. The ground is stable enough to build on. Milestone 5. $10,000 invested. Here it is. This is the one that most people miss. Not because they don't reach it, many do, but because they reach it and don't understand what just happened. At $10,000 invested in a diversified account growing at a historical average of roughly 7 to 8% annually, your money is now making approximately $700 to $800 per year. Without you doing anything, without another hour of work, without another decision. That number is small, but the concept it represents is not. You have crossed the line from someone who earns money to someone whose money earns money. For the first time, there are two of you working. You and your capital. And here is what makes this milestone so dangerous to miss. The further past this point you go, the larger that second worker becomes. At $50,000 invested, your money earns $3,500 to $4,000 per year. At $100,000, it earns $7,000 to $8,000. At $250,000, it earns more than most people's monthly salary. The compound growth that makes wealth feel inevitable to the people inside it, and impossible to the people watching from outside, starts here, at $10,000. At this often overlooked, unglamorous, quiet threshold. The people who miss it are the ones who reach it and don't feel it, who see the number and keeps treating their financial life exactly the way they did before. Now you know. Milestone 6. Your investment income covers one bill. Not your mortgage, not your rent. One bill. Maybe your phone, maybe your electricity, maybe a subscription, but something in your financial life, something that previously required you to work for it, is now being paid by money that your money earned. This sounds symbolic. It isn't. The moment investment income covers a real expense, even a small one, something changes in how you relate to what you're building. It stops being theoretical. It stops being a number on an app that feels disconnected from daily life. It becomes something you can feel every month. And that feeling, the lived, tangible experience of passive income meeting a real obligation, changes how aggressively you protect and grow the investments producing it. This is also the milestone where the idea of financial freedom stops being abstract, because you've now felt, in a small but real way, what it would feel like to have everything covered by money that works while you sleep. Milestone 7. Your income covers your needs with 20% to spare. This one is about margin. Not luxury, not abundance, just margin. The gap between what you earn and what you need to survive comfortably. A gap wide enough that you can breathe. Wide enough that an unexpected expense doesn't require a week of anxiety. Wide enough that you can make financial decisions from a position of slight strength rather than constant pressure. 20% is not arbitrary. It's the threshold research consistently identifies as the minimum gap required for meaningful wealth building alongside a real life. Below 20%, nearly every dollar is committed before it arrives. Above it, the compounding starts to accelerate in ways that feel, for the first time, like they might actually get somewhere. Getting to this milestone often requires something uncomfortable, a change in income, a change in expenses, a combination of both. But the people who get here and understand what they're protecting, who refuse to let lifestyle inflation close the gap, are the people who look, 5 years later, like they got lucky. They didn't get lucky. They protected the margin. Milestone 8. Your net worth crosses $100,000. The first 6 figures. This milestone has a specific psychological effect that almost everyone who has crossed it reports, regardless of how they got there. The number stops feeling fragile. Before $100,000, wealth feels precarious. Like it could be undone by one bad month, one bad decision, one piece of bad luck. The amount is real, but it doesn't yet feel resilient. It doesn't feel like a foundation. At $100,000, something settles. Not complacency, clarity. The clarity that comes from having built something substantial enough to be meaningfully difficult to lose entirely. Something that, even in a bad market year, is still working, still growing, still there. This is also where the math starts to become viscerally motivating rather than abstractly encouraging. The difference between $100,000 compounding at 8% and zero compounding at 8% is not just financial, it's temporal. Time is now visibly working for you in a way that the spreadsheet always promised, but the small numbers never quite made real. Milestone 9. Your passive income covers your basic needs. This is the last one, and it's the one that changes the most. Not because of the money, because of the choice. When the income your investments produce, dividends, interest, distributions, equals what you need to cover your basic monthly expenses, work becomes optional. Not retirement, not stopping, optional. You can still work. Many people at this milestone work more passionately than they ever did before, because the work is now chosen rather than required. The difference between those two states is not subtle. It is the difference between a locked door and an open one. Oprah Winfrey described the specific feeling of reaching a point in her career where financial security was real and certain, and how it transformed not just her relationship with money, but her relationship with her own voice. She said she stopped softening herself when she no longer needed anyone to survive. She started saying exactly what she believed. She became more, not less, because the financial pressure had released. That is milestone 9, not the end of ambition. The beginning of it on your own terms. Here is what these 9 milestones have in common. Each one changes something that isn't just financial. The first $1,000 changes your fear response. Zero debt changes your relationship with your income. The emergency fund changes how you stand at work. The first $10,000 invested changes who is working for you. The covered bill changes what feels possible. The margin changes how you decide. The 6 figures change what feels secure. And milestone 9 changes what you choose to do with your one life. These are not just numbers. They are thresholds. And every threshold you cross makes the next one not just more achievable, but more visible. Because the view from each one reveals something you couldn't see from the one before. The people who understand this, who know which milestone they're standing at and what crossing it will actually unlock, move through them with intention, with urgency, with the specific motivation that comes from knowing exactly what is on the other side of the line they're approaching. The ones who don't know they exist walk past them, feel the shift without understanding it, and wonder why the effort they're putting in never seems to fully compound into something that feels like progress. Now you know which ones exist. Now you know what each one actually changes. The only question is, which one are you standing at right now? Locate yourself on this map today. Not approximately, specifically. Calculate your net worth. Assets minus liabilities. That number tells you which milestone you are working toward, and which ones you have already crossed without fully recognizing them. If you are below milestone 1, the $1,000 buffer, that is the only goal. Not investing. Not debt payoff strategy. $1,000, protected and untouched before anything else. If you are between milestones, somewhere in the middle, past some and approaching others, write down specifically which milestone is next. Give it a number. Give it a timeline. Not an optimistic one, a realistic one based on your current trajectory. And then, protect the next milestone from the thing that most commonly derails it: lifestyle inflation, the raise that gets fully spent, the debt repayment that never turns into savings. The investment account that gets raided when something uncomfortable happens. Every milestone you cross needs to be protected from the force that erodes it. Because the milestones don't hold themselves, you hold them. I want to leave you with something. When I was putting this video together, going through the research, the data, the stories of people who crossed these thresholds and the ones who didn't, I kept coming back to one question. Not which milestone is hardest, not which one takes longest. Which one do people cross, feel the shift, and still walk away from? Because that happens, more than you'd think. People reach milestone 5. They feel the change. They see the compound growth beginning to work. And then, for reasons that are specific to each person but consistent in their pattern, they undo it. They pull the investment. They let the lifestyle expand. They make one decision that sends them back across the line they just crossed. And I have a theory about why that happens, about what the real obstacle is between milestone 5 and everything that comes after it, about why some people seem to stall exactly at the point where the momentum should be accelerating. I'm going to cover that in the next video. And if you think the stakes were high in this one, wait until you see what's actually standing between most people and the second half of this list. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And please, like this video today. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely determines whether this content reaches the people who need it most. The next video drops soon, and I promise you, you're going to want to be there for it.